when you're using 2D design and try to colour in a shape you've drawn, but it says not a closed boundary.
Phil, you make me angry, Phil!
Picture the scene. Year 9 art lesson. Right, okay. Year 9, I was only just talking about how good your behaviour was being last week. What's happened? Why is it going all like this? Do you want me to teach you how I am now, like GCSE students, or do you want me to teach you like Year 7s? It's up to you. You could just teach us like Year 9s, seeing as that's what we are. All the time, in form, and in assemblies, and in the morning, it's like, oh well, oh wait, no, I need the wig. Well, you see, you need to get your uniform all in order because we're doing, everyone is getting a lot more strict on uniform at the moment, this week now. You tell us this every week and have done since the beginning of Year 7. What is the point of... You're always having a crackdown on uniform. What's the point? It's like, sorry to reference the olden days here, but at the end of Year 6 was like a big thing on presentation, and every single day it was like, oh, make sure you I haven't got anyone I can try and insult here specifically. Oh, make sure your presentation's good, because everyone's having a crackdown on that at the moment. They have been for like the last year. Why have they suddenly decided to take action on it now? Surely if it was that bad, it will have been that bad for a long time. And finally, the uniform thing. It's like, I mean, I get it. I understand the argument that the whole point of uniform is so, like, you can single out intruders, you can represent the school when you're outside of school, you can, you know, stuff like that. In theory, not get as much bullying because it's not single out, like, you know, the best off and the least well off, you know, financially. But then, why can't I wear gloves in a corridor? Like, once I was walking along the maths corridor and I was just taking my gloves off. In fact, I was even taking them off and I got told off for wearing them. It's like, don't text me when I'm filming. And it's like, I'm literally taking them off. What is your problem? Blimey. And finally, I feel I'm not really entitled to complain about this, but it's been annoying me no end. It's like, I can't really speak because I don't wear skirts, but people who do, what's wrong with them being rolled down? People who want them rolled down, teachers, what's wrong with them being rolled up? I don't understand what the problem is on either end of the scale here. I genuinely want answers. I'm not just complaining for the sake of complaining. I genuinely want to know what the problem is on both sides of the coin here. No one notices. Stop texting me. Turn the elastic over like 1 centimetre. Because that makes a difference apparently. It's like, I'm not even gonna do a skit for that bit, you get the point. I don't understand the mentality that you have to wait and be silent before leaving a classroom. That doesn't really make any sense. For instance, in English, in our set, half the time we have to be silent and by our seats before we can leave, and half the time we just get let out. I don't understand. What benefit does it provide to anything? You're still going to make the same amount of noise when you leave as you are otherwise. And it's like wearing jumpers in class. I don't really do that, but people who do get unfairly treated because of it. Why was that so hard to say? And it's just like, it's just a jumper. What's the problem? It's still, you can still see the uniform. It's not like you're going to mistake them for an imposter. And tucking shirts in, I mean, it doesn't so much annoy me as much as I try and help people so they don't get shouted at for it. I don't understand why people have a problem with tucking shirts in. It's literally, it's not uncomfortable. Am I the only one who is somehow not bothered by it? I just leave my shirt tucked in and don't even think about it and don't even notice. Honestly, I could have this tucked in now and I just wouldn't notice. Another thing about school uniform, people always say, like I've mentioned before, it's for security. One of the reasons is security, so that you can see if there's like an intruder, someone who's not supposed to be in the school. I made that point like when I was saying why can't you wear jumpers, you can still see the rest of the uniform and stuff like that. And another thing I just thought of now when I went to edit this is you can still survive non-uniform days, can't you, occasionally, so what gives? You know. As someone who is personally frustrated by the fact that everyone expects you to revise, particularly in geography, as we've established before on this channel, we did. Everyone thinks the only way, well not everyone, a lot of the time, people think that the only way to revise is through visual stuff. spider diagrams, flashcards. So, that's the reason revision annoys me so much, because I'm forced in, particularly for like science and geography. I don't know why I said and, they're the same thing, as we know. So science, geography, etc. They've made you just do everything as visual, and you have to bring in evidence. And the way they word it as evidence, it makes you feel like they're not even doing it for your own benefit. It's like when they always talk about the GCSE, it's like they're admitting that they can't think of a single way this is going to be useful in the future other than to get you through GCSEs, and my camera's about to die. And the fact they say evidence, they don't trust you to do it, so they have to bring in evidence like it's a crime to not do it, so that you have to prove yourself. It's not even like it's satisfying when you do, because it's just like they've won. And it's not beneficial to them either, because they just want you to get a decent level, because otherwise they'll get sacked. Whatever the case, you want to keep your job, so you need to have your students getting decent levels. So they need to do well. But in making you bring in that additional revision, if you're someone like me who finds visual stuff completely useless in every single way, that's not helpful. You're just wasting the time in preparing the evidence, usually quite excessively, to meet a standard that they've set unreasonably high. You're wasting the time on that you could be using to revise in the way that suits you but doesn't generate any evidence. Thereby you're learning less, remembering less, and will still do worse through doing what they're telling you to do. That was a side rant, that's not even the original point I was going to make. Am I the only one who gets really miffed when they say about exam conditions, or test conditions? We're doing a test! What else would we be expecting? It's not like we've never done one before. I think I've mentioned this in previous videos, but when teachers complain about you making noise outside exams, when you can literally see past the sign that says no entry, and you can literally see that they're all still standing outside the exam and aren't even close to starting yet, so it doesn't matter. Ow. So the amount of work they've been working hard for all of these exams for the last few years, and I'm sure when you're in their position you will want silence. Well, not really. To be honest, silence drives me a bit insane when I'm working. Background noise is appreciated, and as I've said before, I bet when the people who are doing GCSE tests now were our age, they didn't shut up for the people doing the GCSE tests then, and no one ever has and no one ever will, so surely it's just fair to keep the same, like, mediocre average level of noise there. And I'm sorry, but presuming everyone can only work in silence and work their best in silence is like how geography think people can only revise visually. It's just not true. I know this is a really stupid thing where I just have to say it. Why can't they just do their exams in their normal rooms? Why do they have to go in different places? I know there are like 2-hour exams that mean you have to go over into when other people will be doing stuff and just blah-de-blah-de-blah, so I know that's a really stupid thing that would never work in real life, but still, surely there would be a way that could just work, because it's just such a nightmare for everyone else. I mean, it's not hugely bad, but it's when they give you when they just stick a table on the wall and loads of bits of extra paper. Not much unlike this, to be honest, but with paper like this, they have handwritten notes on that say such and such is class, or just class number. But half the time you don't even know what number classroom you're going to, you just know which one it is. Is that just me, that you just know which room it is without having to know what number it is off the top of your head? I don't know, but the point is, it's just a mess and everyone's crowding around and like, move along and take your gloves off as well. I'm going to pull you out of the group of people to stop that, cause a little bit of a backup and maybe even a contraflow. Just so you can get your gloves off, but we've been through all this before, that's in previous videos, scattered across them all. The teachers pretend to be surprised. It's like I once wrote into one of my scripts, I'll put it in the background if I can be bothered to find it, and it's like, yes, here we see my Aubrey teacher approaching, ready to pretend to be horrified and surprised at the sight of many students making a slight bit of noise outside a room in which there's an exam on. The GCSEs keep getting harder, apparently. So think yourself lucky and shut up, because that means they're easier now than they're going to be in the future. But that is besides the point. So, nice weather we're having. Shut up! Shut up or I'll give you all C3s! Like, seriously, I genuinely don't understand why you're so strictly forbidden to talk while you're walking into an assembly. I mean, I get it if there's, like, exams on in the next room or something, but, like, what exactly does it disrupt? What does it cause problems for? You're just walking in. It's not even like primary school when there's music playing. We had music playing walking into assemblies. I don't know if anyone else did that. I don't know if that was a normal thing. But that's not the point. I just don't... Wigs, really. Anyway. I just don't understand. I just went with it until like 3 weeks ago and I thought, hang on. This actually makes no sense. Why is it only ever the sports that get recognition and praise and reward at schools? Apparently it's always been like this. So I don't know what I think this is going to do. They never do anything, so apart from annoy a few people, but yeah. I know other things do get acknowledged, but the ratio of sports stuff to literally everything else is still very heavy to sports' side, and that's with everything else bunched together. Why do we have to be dragged in to an assembly where we're cramped into the bigger, at least it's the bigger one, of the drama rooms, or possibly the gym where you have to take your shoes off for some reason, despite the fact half the time you go in there you don't. And you go in there with trainers on, which are probably just as bad anyway. I don't understand. But the point is, it's not always crammed in there. That just makes it even worse. Sometimes it's proper assembly. But if there's someone other year doing another assembly, they make us cram in there. They can't just wait until our next assembly day. So, picture the scene. There's been a fire drill. Everyone is lining up outside, making... well, not making much noise, but making a considerable amount of noise, but not enough to disrupt the procedures. Right? I need the wig again. Everyone shut up! Shut up! Or else! Off with your head! Because apparently it's the end of the world and we've had a fire drill. And we were out 3 seconds later than we usually are. Because we slowed you all down. How dare you? How dare you? Now you've got to shut up so we can make sure everyone's out here. Because if everyone isn't out here, we're going to have to send a member of staff back inside to risk their own life to try and look for people. Because, obviously, if you're in a burning building, you're just going to stand there, aren't you? And you're not going to try and get out. And you're going to have to wait for someone to go in to bring you back out. And even if you don't know the building's burning, you're going to see everyone's left and wonder what's going on. And anyway, surely you'd notice. Where would you be for someone... where would you have to be to not notice? You know how people always say that if you're 5 minutes late to school every single day of the year, you miss 3 billion days of learning. You don't learn anything in the first 5 minutes of school. You just sit there and take the register, or that might even take more than 5 minutes to happen. You're not going to miss anything. Even in like primary school, when I remember it happening more, you still don't really do anything in the first 5 minutes. You just, even if you do in other places, they still said that at our school when you didn't. It's so annoying because they say, yes, you've got to make sure you're in. Don't think you can just be late just because it's only registration, because registration is very important. You get all the notices you need. I need something stronger than blue tack. Now, you've got to make sure you can't just be late just because you think it's only registration. Because registration, you can't be late for registration because it's very important. You get all the notices you need for the day. You just don't. Every single blooming week media club has it been on. Have we been told no? Of course not. I've got there and it's been off. And no one's told me. Because they never tell you anything. It's pointless. So that's something else. They're always going on about attendance, about how you always need to be in. You need to be in no matter what. Well, I'm sorry I couldn't come in for 2 days when I had food poisoning. If you'd rather I came in and was sick all over you every 2 minutes, then I can gladly oblige. Oh, your form class attendance is absolutely horrific. That wig's absolutely horrific. Oh, your form class attendance is absolutely horrific. It's shocking. You should all be ashamed of yourselves that I'm getting hair in my face. How dare you? How dare you not come into school? How dare you? Well, I'm sorry I had a thing on my neck that could have, for all we know, literally have been cancer. So yeah, no. Sitting in a room, reading, looking at equipment, writing a percentage on a card, watching kids' news, or sitting in the hall being told off for nothing we've actually done and nobody's listening anyway, or being told the points we scored in the weekly thing that, as I've mentioned before, nobody cares about, was probably also cramped into the gym with our shoes off for no reason. Delete as appropriate depending on which day it is. Now, all of those much more important, all and any of them miles more important than my actual life. Yeah, obviously, of course. Sorry. Form tutors are so obsessively obsessed with silent reading. It's like, what benefit does it give to you? I know you're just doing what you've been told to do, but seriously, why are you so obsessive over it? Just, who cares? The other week, we do these quizzes every week. We're supposed to do these quizzes every week. They never get sent, or they never get received, or somewhere it always goes wrong, seems to. And where's my internet gone? But anyway, like for instance, the other week, someone was making like a tiny little bit of noise. Okay, not as much as that other annoying teacher who's now still not got. I even had her in art today. I could have asked Irene. Now, I'm very, very disappointed to hear that this form got 2 E3s yesterday. So very disappointed in that, because we were doing quite well on the leader board thing of getting the least detentions, but we've certainly lost that now. Nobody cares! So what, at the end of the year you win some sweets?
Wow.
Everyone says, oh, I can't hear you because everyone's shouting. You can hear, we're saying the same thing. Or this doesn't annoy me as much, but I think it probably annoys a lot of people, and it annoys me a little bit, so I might as well include it, because I'm running out of ideas for this other stuff. Ow. Shakespeare. It's like when someone says an answer and then says, shame you shouted out, and then asks that person anyway, so they say the same things. You already just go with it, for goodness sake. It clearly hasn't taught them to stop shouting out, because they still do it. But, if you don't stop talking and messing around, I'm just not going to send the answers in. And I thought, we don't care. We really don't care. You're the only one who cares about winning the end of term quiz best most right answers award thing. What do you even win for that? Is that even a thing you win? Or do you just know that you just get told you've won it and you don't win anything? I just thought, we don't care. We literally couldn't care less. And I think this isn't just me. I'm pretty sure no one else really cares either. That's another thing, like at the end of term when we had the praise assembly, where I always say it, that in praise assembly, nobody gets praised. Literally, it's just a list of people that's practically everyone in the year anyway. I know it isn't, don't come at me for that, but it's basically is anyway, and there's that many people, it's not even like you get singled out for being praised. Like, I don't want to bring this up because I don't like talking about it, but when I literally wrote a blooming novel that I don't have with me, so that's convincing, isn't it? But like, in finishing it in year 7, I literally got mentioned once briefly on the R4 list. I feel like I deserved more recognition than that, apart from the fact the book was awful. That's not the point, it should go in the bin with Shakespeare, if only I had it with me. But I don't, unfortunately. I don't understand why people care. I mean, I know I said I wanted Miss K to not win everything, but that's just because she does care for some reason, and therefore I wanted her to lose, because we know how I feel about her. It's like the other week when she told people to get just chairs, stools, whatever, just generically, and then had a go at people for not getting stools but just getting all the chairs. It's like, who cares? You literally complain about wasting time, and yet you make everyone just leave and come back in just because they got a slightly different type of chair, even though you may as well have just sat us on those chairs in the first place around the edge, because we were only sat on the other stool for like 30 seconds while you told us what we were going to do, and then we just did the rest on the other chairs around the whole room, just... And she was like complaining about noise while she was waiting to take the register, and she said, I've told Miss you're a really good form. And I thought, well, why have you done that then, you stupid idiot? It's not our fault you lied. I feel like that might be a bit harsh on our form, but still, I found it amusing when I thought that at the time. There are a load of prizes and awards you get for being the most improved form at something, but in order to do that, you have to be bad to start with, which, contrary to what I said in the last video, it's not our fault you lied. What did you do that for, you stupid idiot? We've never been that bad, and there is no, like, reward for being consistently good. I don't think there is. I mean, it was only yesterday. Why are you talking? I never said talk. Well, you never said don't talk. Very quiet, please. Don't do the register. But quiet. Shush! I don't know why I said that. She's got a point, to be fair. She's just a bit too annoyed. I mean, why do teachers act like they expect everyone to be actually good? That's a good point, really, I think. It's like once, at the end of an ICT lesson, the teacher was so obsessed with, like, make sure you have sent it, make sure you have put it on the thing, and you've clicked send, make sure you have done that. It's like, why are you so obsessive about this? It's not even like you're going to look at it anyway. And why in ICT do you have to put everything in a PowerPoint? It's not even like it's PowerPoint, it's not even like it's a good PowerPoint. I'll put a screenshot up if I can be bothered to go and find and take one. I probably can, it's not that hard. Where I literally named the file, can't remember what it was, pointless PowerPoint. Because it is literally pointless. What is the purpose of it? I've literally just taken it out of a PNG file and put it in a PPTX file. Why? Why is that benefit? If anything, a PNG is more universally compatible than even a PPTX. It's not even a PPT, for goodness sake. So put your hand up if you've ever tried to push yourself out of your comfort zone for something that you didn't know if you'd be able to achieve or not. And keep your hand up if you actually went through with this and then found in the end that it actually wasn't as bad as you thought, and you maybe even enjoyed it somewhat. Right, get your green pens out, we're going to do some peer marking. Why thorough revision is actually bad for your career. I figured this out quite a while ago and then I just forgot about it. And it came back to me the other day when I was fishing for video ideas, so here we go. The original point I was going to make of why thorough revision is actually bad for your career is that if you thoroughly revise, like, incredibly excessively, coming up to some kind of test so you can do as well in that as you possibly can, you're going to do better in that test than you actually can do the stuff you're being tested on in real life. So, unless you do that much revision every single day of your life, that test is not going to reflect how good you are at the thing. It's going to reflect how good you are having been looking at it excessively right before doing it. Then, for example, if you get a job that is heavy in that area, they're going to be able to expect you to do it better than you can without doing the revision you did before that test. That just... it's not going to help you. I mean, I'm all for it. You have to do it. Revision. You have to learn it. But only to the extent where it helps you learn it more. If you're just doing it, and then as soon as you've done the test or whatever, it goes out of your mind. The whole point of the test is to reflect how much you've learnt of it, and how good you are at the thing. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what tests represent and why they exist. So, if you revise ridiculously excessively, you know who you are, then it's going to look like you know more and can do better at it than you can. It's not as if back in the day before mobile phones, everyone spent every spare minute revising anyway, correct me if I'm wrong. So, it's not like the time students are using outside the classroom on mobile phones is replacing time that would otherwise be used for revision. No one revises in the time they would instead be using their phone. That didn't happen. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that didn't happen. Unless you're one of those obsessive people, you know who you are again, who just revises way too much. And as we've established, that's probably not good for your career unless, to be honest, you'll probably just spend every single day of your life revising everything. They always say that don't use the word amount, and we all use the word amount, we all use the word mass, and the word volume, and the word everything, weight, gravity, mass, I've already said mass. All science teachers always say that in daily life, we just use all of those words wrong. If that's wrong, then why does everyone use them like that? And who started using them wrong for it to catch on to be normal? And who keeps teaching people to say the wrong words in the wrong scenarios? And so how did this start originally? I just don't understand why we say the things wrong, because why doesn't everyone use the right I don't even know. And on the note of that, it's weight equals mass times gravity. Well, how do you know what mass and gravity are? Is there a triangle thing for that? Point being that back in Year 7, I don't know if it was Year 7, we just got told that quite straight out of the gate and just as borderline a throwaway line, as if we were expected to just already know it. So yes, Jenna, as appropriate a name as you have for being a science teacher, honestly, you can take your name and your Jake Paul Christmas paper back to your old job, freezing bird's eye garden peas, or whatever you used to do. It was something about bird's eye garden peas, I can't remember, she told us a couple of times. Not least because of this, but more because she is the one I always go on about going over the reproductive systems millions of times as if we'd never done it before, all with different PowerPoints. Do other people remember going over it that many times, or is it just me? Because everyone else seemed just as oblivious as she was. Or you all just doing what I was, just kind of going with it because maybe she's messed up the plans, but it just went on for so long that it's like, maybe she's just insane. But mostly, in fact, because she's just another visual revision. Not everyone revises that way. History can understand this. Why can't anyone else? Well, when I say everyone else, it's science and geography, appropriately, that do it most. I mean, I don't know why I say science most. She's the only teacher I've ever had do that. I don't know if it's just specific to teacher, and in geography it's just a coincidence that both boring and sarcastic both did it. But either way, not everyone revises like that, alright? She was talking the other week about when you're writing an equation, that you write the equation and then you write the thing with the same thing, but with instead of the letters you sub in the values you're using, and then you figure it out and then you get your answer and do with that answer what you will. And why do I bother? And she was saying that it's basically easy marks that you're throwing away if you don't write out the equation first. Haha, you're on silent now. So she was saying that it's easy marks you're throwing away if you don't do that. And she mentioned that it's usually the boys who don't write it down. That's literally irrelevant. You're still telling all of us an equal amount, insert communist joke here, you're still giving us the information, telling us to not miss out on those marks equally as much, so just because everyone else did it like that doesn't mean we will, and that's just irrelevant. That's not even like Miss Kenny sexism. I don't even know why that bugged me. It didn't even really bug me that much. I'm just desperate for content. For science, liquid plot convenience, otherwise known as universal indicator. There is no photo here, is there? I'm literally holding up nothing. Point being that I call it liquid plot convenience because it's like, we need to know if this liquid's... Oh, this is a new voice, I've never done this one before. Oh, we need to know what the pH is of this liquid. We need to know if it's acidic or alkaline. This is going to take a lot of very complex scientific experimentation and it's going to make me look incredibly smart. Actually, no, I've just got this a little bottle of strange dark blue liquid that can just tell us instantly, along with this convenient little chart. So, yeah, don't need any of that. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining about having to do less work, it's just very convenient, isn't it? Just like, it feels like you should have to put in more work to get that result, instead of just putting a drop of stuff in and seeing what colour it turns. I don't know, it's just bugged me. But it also bugged me that I came up with that idea of calling it liquid plot convenience, like the start of year 8. We used it once at the start of year 8, and then I never used it again throughout the entire of year 8. Well, of course I didn't. I spent the old bloody thing doing the rock cycle, didn't I? And then I finally got to use it again at the start of year 9. It was like, yeah, finally I got liquid plot convenience again. Yay. So anyway, later on into the year in that Set 2 Science, we had this trainee slash supply slash I don't even know and or care teacher who just really bugged me for some reason. It's like she had no faith in us whatsoever, because she set us off doing something fair enough, but then she was always saying like, you've only got 2 minutes left to do this! When I was like 30 seconds off finishing, because it's like, you clearly have no faith in any of us, and she always sounded really frustrated when she was saying it. So, what are you frustrated about? What? What can we do to please you, you stupid woman? You stupid woman! I wish there was more I could say about her, but I don't know, she just got under my skin for some reason. Side note, that's another thing on my reminders separately for some reason I thought of this morning, is they always say keep your options open. Well, if you don't know what you're doing, they're going to be open anyway, and if you know what you're doing, there's no point keeping them open for stuff that you don't want to do, so that doesn't make any sense either, just thought I'd throw that out there. Oh, you're in year 9 now, you should know how to act better. You should be much more mature than this. You should be trusted to be able to do this in a proper, mature, sensible way. Sounds very familiar. Oh, you're in year 8 now, you should be okay to be able to do this in a sensible, mature way without me standing around all the time. Oh, well, you're in year 7 now, you're not in primary school anymore, you should be able to do this in a mature, proper way. Oh, you're in year 6 now, you should be able to do this in a sensible way without our help all the time. Oh, you're in year 5 now, you should be able to do this in a nice, sensible, proper way without... Oh, well, you're in year 4 now. Oh, you're year 3s now. Oh, well, you're in year 2 now. Oh, you're not in reception class anymore. Oh, you're not just nursery children anymore. Oh, now you're at school. Oh, you're not a baby anymore. Alright. Oh, you're not a fetus anymore. Where does this madness end? Is the only safe time to avoid this the moment of conception? Or the moment of conception of your earliest ancestor? Seriously, no matter what age you are, they just find a way to... Oh, you're not anymore, so you should know better. We're just getting on with it, alright? So, bloody, I was starting off, there's a little bit of noise, and she, saying a little bit of noise makes it seem like she's a bait, but she isn't. She's fair enough with the noise, to be fair. And she was all, quiet please, shut up, there's nothing to talk about, there's literally nothing to talk about. I'm not even sure what my point was there, to be fair. She could have just said be quiet. She didn't have to make technically a lie, just to shut us up. Why at the end of year 9 was everyone acting like it was the end of school? Like, seriously, compared to the previous years, everyone was getting cards for people and presents for people and teachers, which is fair enough, you can get like presents for teachers, but so much more. And it's like we did a group card for our form tutor, as if we were never going to see them. We're literally in the same form room, in the same seating layout as we were last year. That's even less different to how it was year 7 into 8 and 8 into 9. I'm just confused. Like the praise assembly, it's only the end of Key Stage 3. It's not even like it was the end of Key Stage 2 where we were moving to a different school. That made sense. This is... All you've done is mixed about the sides of the A and B sides of the year. That's the only difference. Also, I get to do media and don't have to do geography and Spanish, but aside from that, that's the only way this is more different than any other 1 year into the next, where the only difference there would be you've changed the lessons round, and possibly teachers. Why were you acting like it was the end of the world? Also, why when we've used a computer, I don't have a sufficient computer to demonstrate this? It's either a laptop, a Mac, or a computer with a box really big. The situation in school is you have a box about yay big with screen on top, okay? Keyboard, mouse, etc. I don't understand why you have to put the keyboard on top of the box and the mouse on top of the keyboard. It's not like the space here gets used for anything other than just taking them back down again. And surely that just makes them more likely to fall off and break. And it's really no neater than just leaving them there. And even then, like I said, why do you need it to be neater? Because it's not like that space is going to be used for anything else. The next people are just going to take them back down again. I don't understand. Why do people enjoy cooking in DT? What enjoyableness is there about it? You get to eat food. That's literally it. That is the only positive out of all of it. I don't understand what is so good to people about standing around in a hot, annoying room, stressed by time constraints, doing a recipe you've been barely told properly and most probably not actually given. And if you do the slightest thing wrong, one particle of one ingredient touches another particle of another ingredient and it's the end of the world as we know it. I'm not going to play that again because I can't be bothered. They always say, like, if you're at university, I tried so hard not to say oh at the start of that. Oh, when you're at university, it's useful to cook stuff. But if you're at university and you're just cooking for yourself and maybe a roommate, you're not going to be in a great big professional school kitchen with a slightly annoying teacher at the front on a tannoy system telling you what you need to do. And to what stupidly obsessive degree you need to do it. I only said slightly annoying because she's not as bad as she was like in year 7, but I think that was mostly my fault. But that's not the point. The point is that I've made my point. I wouldn't have read at all in like years if it wasn't for being made to by school. And now that we don't have accelerated reader, which is the biggest waste of money in the history of the universe. Because the school mercifully can't afford it any later than year 8, meaning that it's probably just as, if not more overpriced than even Linguiscope from last time. I mean, they complain about not being able to afford glue, and yet they waste £1 billion probably a year on this pointless waste of time that does nothing but stress out students. I mean, if you have to make us read because curriculum or something, then just make us read. You don't have to have a stupid online quizzing system for it. Okay, so I was just editing this, and I looked up how much it actually cost, and I found this PDF, and I love a good online PDF for some reason, and it claims to be the most cost-effective way to improve reading achievement. You know, there is more to life than reading. So then I found this other website that was essentially a review of it by some superintendent for Jennings Public Schools and someone who holds a master's degree in educational leadership. And it claims that it is one of the world's most popular reading programs. Why do they have to exist? Who knows? It's designed to motivate students to read. Well, it doesn't work. In my personal view, it makes them hate reading even more than they did in the first place because they're being pressured into doing it every 4 days. Also, it says teachers can use the program to motivate their students by providing rewards that correspond with the number of AR points earned by the student. You get a piece of paper that says you read some words. Yay! Again, it's my point about that letter that I ripped up earlier. It's just a no offence, but it's just some ink on a paper, and it's not even, like, actually signed. It's just a photocopy, if that makes it any different, as if anyone would care about getting a teacher's signature. It's just a bit of paper with some ink on it. How is that motivational to make you do anything? It's not gonna... It's like when people say if you do such and such, you'll get an R3 or something. It's like, that's not gonna make any difference to life, ever. Who cares? That's what I said. What I then corrected myself with was that people do care. What I should have said was, why do people care? Why do people care? They're just numbers on a computer system that aren't going to make any difference to life ever. It's like when a teacher says, oh, I'm giving the whole class a C2, or I'm giving that, you'll be on a straight C3 if you talk or something. I'm like, oh no, I'm so scared, because it's not a threat at all. Even if they're going to do it, which they probably would do in their defence. What difference is it going to make to me in life? The only difference any of them are ever going to make is if it's like a C5 where you literally miss days and thus maybe miss a little bit of education, which may impact your future slightly, or when you get excluded and sent to a different school. But even then, that is the only way it's going to have any kind of impact on your future. Anything before that, that's why whenever that's what I can't give up. That's why whenever anyone says, like a teacher says anything, oh, the whole class is now on a C2. I really don't care. Not that I ever have, but even if I did get that personally, I still would not care. Because what difference is it going to make to your life? And whenever anyone's like, if you don't do this now, you'll keep going into your lunchtime, or you'll come back to do this lunchtime. And I never do anything anyway. Who cares? Not like I eat lunch or anything.
And yet again, in this mammoth webpage, it still doesn't say how much it actually costs, until right near the end when it claims that they do not publish their overall cost for the programme. Although it does say each subscription is sold for a one-time school fee plus an annual subscription, so I guess the subscription yearly thing, right? But then, according to this, which I actually can't get on because I can't be bothered to boot into Linux, it can be close to $2,000 to $10,000, which is anywhere between £1,541.51 to £7,572.55.
Apparently now you don't get detentions for not having a book in for an English lesson because that was deterring people from reading. How exactly was that deterring? I'm not saying reading is good or anything. I'm not endorsing giving people more detentions unnecessarily for something like not having a book. But how is that discouraging reading? Surely the threat of a detention will make you be more likely to bring a book in, and therefore more likely to read it, rather than just it being perfectly fine to not bring a book in. Surely that will discourage reading more. Anyway, we had one the other week by some people for one person. Actually, can't remember. For the old Duke of Edinburgh's award. But it's something I thought of was that it's named after the Queen's husband. That's like getting an award named after Buzz Aldrin. What is the point of starting a new topic, for instance in science, before doing the test on the previous topic? Why can't we just do the test for the previous topic in the lesson where we're starting the other test? Yeah, I'm also wearing the same top again. The science one we did today, where there was a question about a polar bear and a deer. I'm just going to try and make this as still as possible, otherwise it'll get pain to keep moving them around. And it's like, how does the fur on one keep it warm, and how does the fur on the other keep it warm? One has hairs full of air, that's the deer, and the other one has the white fur, and what is this conduction, convection, or some other stuff we've never even been told about? I don't know. Just make the tests about what you told us to revise. I mean, even if revision isn't necessarily good, because again, we've got to do geography revision, and lo and behold, visual, evidence, etc. No other subject does this. It's like in history the other day, the teacher, because as we know history is quality, and good quality, that he said we could write it down with the knowledge of needing to revise from it in the future in whatever way that works for us, or basically everything apart from Comic Sans and A3 paper, and well, TikTok, but that's not the point. So I said to him, could you tell the geography department that, because they make you do visual, etc, etc, etc. I didn't make the whole point because that would have wasted quite a bit of time. So another thing he said, because after I said that it was just science and sociology with a map on top, so anyway, I told him that, and he said that he wanted to stand a safe distance away while I say that to the geography teachers. Hickson was trying to come up with some reasons geography would be good, and as he said, well, you know, when you're out in the world, and it's interesting to know how things work, to which I was like, oh, would you look at that sedimentary rock? I'm enjoying this walk so much more with that knowledge. Alright, would you look at that longshore drift? That one was particularly funny at the time, I don't know why, it just kind of was. I know in that I say that we haven't done any maps since like year 7. Literally the lesson after that we did a couple of lessons that were map based, and then did a little test on it, which was in fact self-admitted by the teacher and kind of remembered by me, but not really thought about too much. A test about the places in the UK. It was a year 7 test. It's incredibly rude. It just isn't though, is it? The DC tests we do at the end of topics are always stupid. For instance, the first one we did, that was the huge booklet. I can probably dig out the PDF and give you like a quick fly through of all the pages. It was just loads of maths where it literally said the answers on the page before the question, so it was really stupid. There was one question about that in the test, and the rest was all, what does the colour red represent in Indian culture? The point is, the questions never have anything to do with what we've looked at, right? Just That one particularly, they've got a bit better over time, because I think that was the first time they'd used that. Well, they certainly didn't use it at the end of last year. But you get the idea. They're just stupid. And because you can just Google it anyway, what's the point of giving us the revision? And you know the revision is never going to be anything to do with what it is. And they always give it to you ages in advance. And just long story short, it's stupid. Anyway, on with the show. Music shouldn't be in the curriculum. It should just be optional to... There must be few people, in comparison to other things, that actually choose it. Yeah, it must need such a big budget for all the instruments and all the computers and everything. I mean, it's kind of like media studies in that it requires a lot of expensive stuff for not that many people in comparison, but the difference is music is mandatory up until year 9. Media, you just choose an option, like I myself obviously have. Why isn't music like that? Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's a similar kind of scenario, because up until year 9 you do basically nothing. You just sing the occasional thing, use GarageBand the occasional time, and listen to music and talk about it, and then when you're in the other room you just play the keyboards, fail to play the keyboards, and then it never comes up again. Also, why do music teachers complain about noise so much? Like, even more than others. There's got to be some irony to that. They teach music yet they complain about sound. Why is it always them so much more than everyone else? I mean, yeah, I get teachers don't like it when you make loads of noise, even if it's in unreasonable situations, like, you know, as I've established before, walking into assemblies, which shouldn't be, so I still don't understand why that's a problem. And there's just some irony to that they just complain about noise so much, yet they literally teach people to make noise. Picture the scene. You're in a lesson and you need to phone someone or something, and you can't do it with your phone because of this. Hello? I was going to do that ages ago in a video, but I didn't think it would be funny enough, but then I did it in drama yesterday when we were sorting out a load of props and stuff, and there was an old phone like that there and a few people laughed a bit, so I guess that means in terms of comedy it's already surpassed everything else I've ever said on this channel. After a certain number of readings in planners and parent signatures, we got a raffle ticket, and a number of times read in the week, or number of pages read. I cannot remember exactly how it works, as you can tell. But point being, we got a raffle ticket, and that raffle ticket would be, all the raffle tickets would be put in a box. You know how raffles work. And then they'd be drawn, and yeah, the winners would go and get some prize out of the head teacher's box of things. It was just a box of, like, random things people got when they did something well. Anyway, point being, that's what happened. Now, it seems like a fair enough idea, aside from them being forced to read. Right. Seems like a good idea as far as the government's forcing schools to make you read. I hope that's what was happening, because otherwise I'm going to put all the blame on the school. So they're trying to make the best of it. That was fair enough, but there were two elements to it that drove me insane. The first of those parts was not so much the part itself that drove me insane, but the justification for the part. So when we got the raffle tickets, we were given them and we had to write our names and years. No, it wouldn't have been years, because each year had their own box. Sure, we had to write something other than our names. I don't know. So, at least our names, that would make sense, on the ticket, and then that ticket would go into the box. Now, as you will know, that's not how raffles work. Now, obviously you get, there are two tickets with the same number, one number goes in the box and you keep the other one. Now, I understand the justification for writing names on and putting them in the box instead of making 9 and 10-year-old students try and not lose a load of raffle tickets. That would be fine if they admitted that, but they didn't. They were just like, someone must have questioned it once, and they only justified it, teacher only justified it by saying, well, that's how raffles work. I just thought, no it isn't. It's like, I'm fine with this method if you justify it properly, not just blindly assuming that that's how all raffles work, because it just isn't. When they'd drawn the tickets and people had gone off to get their things, the teacher, whoever the teacher was running the assembly, I don't think, when we first started out in primary school, for the first few years up until like year 3 or 4, assemblies were really well routined and structured. After that they just went to Bovril. There was no structure at all, no one ever knew if it was on or not. Bloody bloody blah. Point being that after these had been given out and the people had gone off to get their prizes, the people left were practically told off for it, which I just thought was no. First of all, reading is stupid and unnecessary anyway, so this whole shebang is stupid and not worthy of telling us off over. And second of all, we probably all have read, it's just that our name happened to not be picked out. So don't have a go at us for not reading when we're probably also in the box and you just didn't pick us. It's one of those things that you're still bitter about even years later. I don't know why, but writing names on the back of multiple raffle tickets always seemed really tedious as well. With pencil as well. I don't know why it seemed tedious, it just did.